Yes. Hello, students. Please tell me if I'm audible and visible also. Yes. Okay. Chalo. Let's start. So today is the orientation lecture. First, we need to understand what is the demand of the this exam. So for that, you have to see the syllabus. If I divide the syllabus, you can divide it into prelims and mains. The prelims, you have two papers, the paper one and the paper two. The paper one, this paper two, this paper two is, आपको मैं अगर दिखाऊं, पहले पेपर टू से स्टार्ट करते हैं सो दैट वी गेट एन आइडिया वेयर टू फोकस. सो पेपर टू is of qualifying marks with 33% you need, and there is a comprehension, then the communication skill, the logical reasoning, and the decision making and the problem solving, the basic of the reasoning, nothing fancy. So you have to score 33% in the paper 2 so that your paper 1 will be considered. Now let us see the paper 1. Now paper 1 consists of current affairs, and when I talk about the current affair, you need to understand national affairs, the international affairs, the science and technology, the environment, the awards, and the foreign relation. We are going to study the current affair in these dimensions because these are the dimensions that has been asked by the commission. Next, the GS topics. First, we need to study the history of India and the Indian national movement. When I talk about the history of India, it need to be the ancient, medieval, and the modern India from 1700 to 1947, and the freedom movement. This freedom movement is the most important in this whole syllabus. In the ancient India, we are going to see all the important and the major topics. Next is the India and the world geography. Obviously, the physical geography, the Indian geography, the economic geography. You can even prepare basically from the 11th and 12th class NCERT for the geography. Nothing will go outside this. Then this maps is very important. If you want to score very good marks in the environment, in the history, and the geography, you need to have a command over the basic map. Without map, it is very difficult to score high marks. So there will be a dimension of map also. Then polity as usual, very easy. The constitution, the union, state, local, judiciary, and the right issues. Then economics, very easy. Basic, poverty, sustainable, demographic, inclusion, all these are the economic concept. Then environment and ecology, the ecology basis, biodiversity, the climate change, the environmental issue, and the conservation laws. All these are the topics that we need to study in the environment. Next is the general science, which is very basic. Basic physics, basic chemistry, basic biology, and the technology in the daily life. Basically, this is science and technology. This is basic science, and this is science and technology, where you have to study how the vaccine works, how the biotechnology works, the space technology works, the nanotechnology, the communication technology. All these you have to study in the science and technology. And the general knowledge and the current affair of the Meghalaya. This is something which you need to have a good command. So, geography of the Meghalaya, the history and the culture, the economy and the Meghalaya, Meghalaya polity, the state schemes, environment and biodiversity of the Meghalaya, and the recent current affairs about the Meghalaya. So this is our prelim syllabus. Now, if you move to the main syllabus, let me also explain you the main syllabus. Mains. So basically, in the mains, you have a qualifying paper, which is English. Okay, this is also you have to score only 33%. This is you have to score 33%. Then there are paper 1, which is essay. It is of 250 marks, 3 hours. This is also 250. This is 300 marks, 3 hours. Please remember this. Next is then paper 2 के बाद the paper 2. This is general studies 1. In this we are having history and the geography and the society. 250 marks, 3 hours. Then paper 3, which is GS 2. Here you need to study the polity and the governance, polity, the governance, and the IR. Same 250, 3 hours. Then paper 4, which is GS 3. It consists of science and technology, the environment, the disaster management, and the economics. Paper 5. Paper 5 consists of GS 4, which is ethics, integrity, and the aptitude. Again, 250 marks, 3 hours. Now, paper 6. This is a new addition. Paper 6 is the new addition, and now you do not have to take optionals. So, paper 6 consists of the Meghalaya. The Meghalaya, where you have to study history, the history of Meghalaya, the polity of Himalaya, Meghalaya, the economics, culture, heritage, literature, geography. So paper 6 is now the decisive factor in your exam. This paper 6 is the decisive factor in your exam because this is the new edition. And because this is the new edition, my guess is it is going to be very easy. Whenever there is a syllabus change, please remember this. I've been giving UPSC for 6 years. ठीक है, written many mains, interview, but whenever they do the syllabus change, they will ask you the very basic questions. Believe me, they ask the very basic. So your goal should be to complete every topic. Do not go into the deep. Just have a overview of every topic and you will score very good marks. Believe me, when you see the paper, you will realize the paper is very easy. They have just asked the basics because this is a new syllabus. Okay, so we have seen the prelim syllabus, we have seen the main syllabus. Now, how we are going to proceed in this course? I'm going to take polity. How we are going to manage this? Let's see. First, you need to have basic conceptual clarity for any topic. Then you have to practice MCQ related to that topic. Then you have to write a subjective mains question related to that topic. For any subject, you have to follow these 3 basic rules. for any topic, you have to follow these basic rule: the conceptual clarity, the MCQ, and the subjective question. Then only you can say your preparation is holistic. Otherwise, it is incomplete. And just reading and reading, this is not going to help you in the exam, because at last what you have to do is you have to express whatever you know in the form of answer writing. So we are also going to see how to write an answer. How you how can you write anything? Suppose, see, completing the syllabus is a myth. Completing a syllabus is a myth. No one can complete the syllabus. 100% syllabus cannot be achieved. What can we do? So there are some tricks that you can use, and you can write any question that we will see in upcoming courses. How to write any answer, if you, with the basic and the foundational knowledge, how to write it, that we will see in the upcoming classes. Once we have a sufficient basic uh, knowledge, then we will try to write something. Okay, now you will get notes, you will get the MCQ, and you will get the mains question. Mains question. And what else I am going to do is, since I know the problem, the only problem student face in the prelims and the mains, what is that? Revision. This is the problem. At the end of the course, you will see you have so many notes, so many lectures. So revision becomes very difficult. And those who can revise in the last 2-3 weeks, those are the students who are going to clear this exam. But for revising that in the 2-3 weeks, you need short notes. Without short notes, you cannot revise anything. Believe me. So I know you are not going to make short notes because of the time. So I will be providing you the short notes of the every topic which I teach you. I will provide you the short notes. One, a main note. Second, the short note. What you have to do is read from this, and for the revision, use this. Your short notes will be 1-2 pages per topic. So it is very easy to revise. This is the most important part of your preparation, the short notes. Please remember this. This is something which will make you clear this exam. Notes, everyone has notes. You go to the market, you buy the notes. There is no shortage of the notes. Problem is this: you can buy that notes, but you cannot buy the short notes for revision. There is no short notes exist in the market. Why? Because it is difficult to make the short notes. But since I was making these short notes for my own preparation, so I would be making short notes for you, whatever topic I am going to teach. Now I have explained everything, what you are going to get in this course, how you need to proceed. Now let us proceed with the polity section, and we are going to start the first topic of the polity, that is the evolution of the Indian Constitution. Every year one question has been asked from this section. Every year you take any exam and you will find a question from this topic. This is how you identify importance. If you try to read everything, it's not going to work. The syllabus is so vast, you need to know what not to study. The moment you realize what not to study, your half work is done because your syllabus is now short. So this is the job of mine to tell you what is important, what is not important, where to focus, where not to focus. Your job is to follow that instruction. Please remember this. If you follow that instruction, you will do wonders in the exam. Believe me, the day you come out of the exam, you will say, sir, whatever you have told, exactly that happened. But for that, you need a routine and a plan. Without routine and a plan, if you are starting your preparation, it is not going to help you. Make a routine. For example, you are studying for 8 hours. In this 8 hour, divide this into prelims, mains, and the revision. How you dividing? Revision, the mains, or you can say practice, and this is the GS. Suppose you are studying 8 hours. In these 8 hours, you need to give 4 hours daily to the GS, whatever topic you are reading, 2 hours for the practice. Daily you need to practice some MCQ, daily you need to practice and the mains question, and the rest 2 hours should be totally dedicated to the revision. And how to do the revision? Please see here. Suppose you are starting your day 6 a.m. Suppose, do not try to read anything new when you start the day. The moment you start the day, do not pick anything new. First, your 1 hour, the very first hour, it should be dedicated totally towards the revision. First, revise what you have read previously. So, first hour should be dedicated to the revision. Then, give 2 hours now to the GS, the new topic, and divide like this. And the last hour before going to the bed, this 1 hour, it should be dedicated to the revision. What revision? Whatever you have studied in your whole day. So there are 2 slots of revision. First in the morning, second is the before bed. This is the routine you need to follow daily. And if you are able to do this, believe me, no exam is difficult. It is a process. You need to follow the process. Do not try to go for the shortcuts. No shortcut works. Please believe me. You have to follow this. And those students who are selected, they are doing this. And if you are not doing this, nothing can save you. This is a very competitive exam. One mistake can cost you the whole year. And this strategy and this guidance, I am not going to give you in every lecture. That is why I am taking time. Now, you need to make some plan. You need to make a routine. Follow that routine. And make a realistic routine. Do not try to I will study 15 hours, I will study 12 hours. Do not do this. Go with the 8 hours. Okay? Chal. Now, our orientation is over. Now we are going to study the polity. And we are going to start with the evolution of the Indian Constitution. Okay? First, whenever I talk about the evolution, we need to have a timeline in our mind. First, we need to see the timeline. So it starts with the 1600, when the arrival of the British as the trader. What they were trying to do? They were trying to trade. As simple as that. 1600. Then in the 1765, the Britishers were able to take grant of Diwani. What is Diwani right? The revenue. Revenue. Now they were able to collect the revenue. And who gave this grant of Diwani right to the Britishers? It was the Shah Alam II. Believe me, this question has been asked multiple times. Whatever I am writing, everything has been asked in the exam. So do not take it lightly. I am not going to write something which is not important. Next. So from 1773 to 1858, this is known as the company rule. This is known as company rule. And in this era, there were many acts. For example, the Regulating Act of 1773, the Act of Settlement 1781. These both acts have been asked in the exam. Then the Pets India Act, this also been asked 1784. Then the Charter Act of 1813, 1833 and the 1853. And we already know in the 1857, 58, there was a mutiny, revolt. So after that, the beginning of the crown rule start. So let me tell you, from the 1858 to the 1947, this is known as crown rule. The crown rule, because the administration was directly under the queen. We will see everything, do not worry. We will see in the detail how it was developed. First we need to have a timeline in our mind. So 1858, there was a Government of India Act 1858. And once a question was asked, Good Governance Act, because the 1858 Act is also known as the Good Governance Act, and this was asked by the UPSC. Next is the 1861. 1861, we know this as Indian Council Act. Indian Council Act. Why this Council Act were enacted? Dekho, simple, very simple. Whenever there is a word, the Council Act, you need to understand the Britishers are trying to involve Indians into the governance. So all the three Indian Council Act are just the representation of Indians in the governance. So after that 1861, it is the 1892. It is also an Indian Council Act. We will see what were the features. We will see all this. Then 1909, very important act. Three times UPSC asked this. 1909. Then 1919, Montague Chelmsford reforms, very important. Then 1935, the Government of India Act 1935. Our constitution is 80% the copy of the 1935 Act. Just imagine, our whole constitution majority section is the copy of this act, the Government of India Act 1935. We will see. And the last is the India Independence Act 1947. Very sorry, Delhi mein is very cold, so this is a basic timeline. Now let me start with the Regulating Act of 1773. You need to only know the basic. Do not try to memorize everything. We have a limited brain capacity. We cannot memorize everything. So do not try to memorize. And I will also give you the memorization technique also. Acha, chalo, I will give you a hint how to do memorize everything. Okay. Suppose, for example, I am going to tell you, I want to memorize the Asiatic Society of Bengal. Very important. Two times UPSC asked this question, the Asiatic Society of Bengal. When it was established? This was the question. Now, a normal student, what he or she will do, rote learning, rote learning. But you cannot memorize every date. There are so many dates. What is the solution? Solution is called the memory technique. How? For example, how I remembered, and this I have made 5 years ago, and still I remember this. Just imagine. Whenever someone asks the Asiatic Society of Bengal, the word Asiatic come from the Asiatic lion, and whenever we see lion, we take cover. What did I say? Asiatic lion, and whenever I see lion, I take cover. Now, A, E, I, O, U. These are called vowels. These are called vowels. Whatever vowels are there in this word, cross it. Okay. Now, here is the thing. The C means 7, V means 8, R means 4. And we know that any year is of 4 digit. So we can already put 1. This is called the memory technique to memorize anything. Now you will never forget, because I have not memorized 1784. I have memorized this word because my mind can only remember the pictures. My mind cannot memorize numbers. So I need to convert these numbers into the word. How to do this? We will see in our upcoming lectures. I will give you one more example. For example, there are 12 schedules. Multiple times questions have been asked about the schedules. If you try to memorize, it is very difficult. Yes, you can memorize the 12 schedules, but for easy purpose, just I'm giving you example. 1 is sun, 2 is shoe, 3 is tree. It can go like this. So first schedule is, the word is sun. Obviously I can see sun in my territory only. So in the first schedule, it is the name of the states. Second, 2 is shoe. I can only buy the shoe when I got the salary. So second schedule is salary and allowances. 3 is tree. And you already know that those who are in the village area, the panchayat works under the tree, people tree. So they take oath under the tree. So third schedule is oath and affirmation. Now you will never forget, never. These are some examples which you can use to memorize this vast syllabus. And this is how I score more than 130 in the prelims. Now we are going to start the regulating act of 1773. Let's see what are the major features. First, we need to understand the Governor General at this time was Warren Hastings. Warren Hastings. In the Regulating Act, this act was the first time the British government tried to control the East India Company. Before that, the British government and the Queen, they were not able to control the East India Company. So this was the first time they wanted to control the activities of the East India Company in the India. So first is this. Second, the Regulating Act, it made the governor of Bengal. At that time there were three major provinces: Bombay, Madras, and the Calcutta. Bengal. These were the three major. These were the three major. Now, the governor of the Bengal was made the Governor General of the Bengal, and he was given the power over these two provinces. Every province has governor, but the Governor General of Bengal has the overriding power over this Bombay and the Madras. Before that, they three were equal. Now the Governor of Bengal was elevated to the Governor General of Bengal, and this Governor General of Bengal was given a four-member executive council. This was also asked. He was given a four-member executive council. And who was the first Governor General of Bengal? None other than the Warren Hastings. This was also asked. One more important feature of this act was the establishment of Supreme Court in the Calcutta in 1774. This was asked in one of the exam. And at last, it prohibited the private trade. That means the company officials now cannot do the private trade. So private trade was banned. Okay. Next is the Amending Act of 1781. This act is also known as the Act of Settlement. This was asked, what is the Act of Settlement? People don't know it's 1781. The Governor General is again Warren Hastings. Now, in this Amending Act of 1781, the Governor General and Council. Already told you there were a four-member council. So Governor General and the Council, they were exempted. They were exempted from the Supreme Court jurisdiction. That means the Supreme Court cannot entertain anything done by this Governor General and the Council. Of course, we are talking about the official acts. Second, the Supreme Court was exempted. That means the Supreme Court no longer can take the revenue matters. Revenue matters. And most important, in this act, it was mentioned that this court will apply personal law, the personal law. That means for Hindus, the Hindu law; for Muslim, the Muslim law. And if you want to appeal against the judgment of this court, you can go only to Governor General in Council. You can appeal in the Governor General in Council. This was also asked. Next is the Pitt's India Act. very important act, the Pitt's India Act. Now, the Governor General is again Warren Hastings. Now, this is very important. Why? Because the Pitt's India Act, for the first time, it separated the commercial function and the political function. Before that, East India Company was managing both the commercial, that means the trade part, and the political function, that means the revenue part. So, Pitt's India Act 1784, what it did, it separated the commercial and the political function. And he said this commercial function to be seen by the court of directors. Court of directors. How will you remember this? C for commercial, C for court of directors. And believe me, when the question come, you will confuse it is court of directors or board of control. You will be confused. I'm telling you. So C for commercial, C for court of directors. You will get it right. And the political function was controlled by the board of control. Board of control. So what it did, it separated the East India Company from the political function. Can you see this? How smartly they are playing, the Britishers. And the important part about this Pitt's India Act was that the first time in the history, the India was called as British possession. British possessions. First time they called India as the British possession. This land which the East India Company is managing belongs to the British. Now, next is the Act of 1786. Now the Governor General is Cornwallis. And never ever either write or say Lord. Why Lord? These are the people who exploited us, and in our books it is written as called Lord Cornwallis, Lord Warren Hastings. Why Lord? What they have done? So never write Lord, write Cornwallis. Next, so Governor General was Cornwallis. Now, only two important things in this act. First is the Cornwallis was appointed as the Governor General of Bengal and also the Commander in Chief. Very important, the Commander in Chief. So before 1786, it was only the Governor General of Bengal. But now this act give another title called the Commander in Chief. Now the Governor General is a Commander in Chief also. And this Cornwallis wanted an overdrive authority. Cornwallis wanted an override. So this act says that the Cornwallis, this Governor General, it can override the council decision. Council decision. And if you can remember, I told you there was a council of 4 members which was provided. So if the Cornwallis wanted to override their decision, now he can do that. Before this act, he cannot do the override. So only two things are important, the Commander in Chief and the overriding power. Next, the Charter Act of 1793. Now, how do I remember which Governor General is present at this time? It's very difficult to remember. Now, please remember. So, how I did. So let me tell you, this P is called, and this 9 is called P, this 3 is called M. So the word is PM. So I just imagined the PM is walking along the shore. वैसे भी we have seen the Modi ji in the Maldives. So it's not very difficult to imagine. So I just remembered that the Prime Minister is walking on the shore and the Governor General name is John Shore. Please tell me, can you forget this? Never. Never. This is how you clear exams. It's not about what material you are reading. It is not about that. It's about these things. This is how you gain leverage over other students. Otherwise, if everybody is doing the same thing, how you are better than those students? So these are the things you need to accommodate in your preparation. Then only you can say your preparation is going very well. Otherwise, if you are simply reading and watching the class, no use. No use. So we have seen the Governor General is okay. Now there are some peculiar feature in this act. First is the overriding power, which was granted to Cornwallis. It was extended to John Shore also and the upcoming Governor General also. They were also getting the same power of the overriding. And the I told you there were three provinces: the Bombay, Madras, and the Bengal. And I've already told you in the 1773, this Bengal governor was made the Governor General of Bengal, and it got a overriding power over the Bombay and the Madras. But in this act, 1793, in this act, the Governor General got more control over these two provinces. And the peculiar feature was about this act was the trade monopoly. Please remember this. At least I have seen this question 4 times. Trade monopoly. Trade monopoly. In this act, company got the monopoly India for additional 20 years. That means only the East India Company can trade with India for next 20 years. Question has been asked, at what act this monopoly was ended? Yeah, this is the question. Now you can see the problem is you should know where the question has been asked, and for that you have a very vast experience about the previous year question. I have read every previous year question. Whatever the, let me tell you this, any state exam, any UPSC exam, whatever question they have asked in 30 years, I have analyzed all this. So I can tell you where to focus and where not to focus. Next is the Charter Act of 1813. Now, again, I have to tell you what? How do I remember the Governor General? T1 is T and 3 is M. I can add vowels. I added IN E. The word is time. And you already know that in time there is something called 1 minute. In time there is something called 1 minute. So the Governor General was Minto 1. This is how you prepare. Yes, are you getting the point? What I am trying to give you. Yes, please tell me you are getting the point. No, 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 no. This session is for YouTube for today only. Then after that, in the app, the class is going to be held. No, there are no books for the Meghalaya GK separately because this is the new dimensions they have added. So for now, there is no good material available for the Meghalaya GK. For that, I have to do some research. I have to uh, read at least two books for the Meghalaya. Then I was able to make these notes. So market में there is no notes available for the Meghalaya. Good notes which is relevant for your exam. Any other question? Yes. Any other question you want to ask about this exam? Yes. No? Okay. I don't think you have any questions. So, the Charter Act of 1830. How do I remember the Governor General? From the time means 1 minute, that is Minto 1. And believe me, when the question come, you will be very confused, Minto 1 or Minto 2. Believe me, it looks simple, but in the exam, it is very difficult to remember anything. So when I talk about this 1813 Act, there were many good or peculiar features. First is it ended it ended the monopoly. Please remember, whatever monopoly they were getting from the Queen in the 1600, which we know that Queen Proclamation. Now they have ended it. But there was an exception in this. This monopoly was ended for all other things except the trade with China and trade in tea. In these two, the East India Company was still holding the monopoly when it comes to the trade with China. And what were we trading? At that time, it was opium. We were trading opium with the China and the trade in tea. So, East India Company was able to retain the monopoly over these two. Next is the there. This question has been asked actually. 1 lakh rupee was awarded for the Indian education. For the Indian education, and 1 lakh per year. But obviously, you can see it was never spent. Okay, it was never spent. So 1 lakh per year was uh, allotted to educate the Indians so that they can participate in the administration. Next is the Charter Act of 1833. The Charter Act of 1833. How do I remember the Governor General? M is 3 is M, 3 is M. I added O. It is mom. And you know that our mom loves to sit or for see, because you don't understand Hindi, I will make you something else. Since your mom will is very strong, so the Governor General was William Bentinck. The peculiar feature was this Charter Act of 1833, it is the final step towards centralization. Towards the centralization. And the Charter Act of 1833 ended the monopoly. Whatever monopoly they were enjoying with China and the tea, they have ended it. This question was asked, I don't even remember, 8, 9 times. See? So, it ended the monopoly on the trade with China and the tea. And the biggest step was the Governor General of Bengal. It was elevated to the Governor General of India. Now he became the Governor General of India. And the obviously the first Governor General of India was the William Bentinck. William Bentinck. This act 1833, it tried to propose the open competition. Please remember this. It tried to introduce the open competition for the civil services exam. Before that, this civil services exam was only held in the London and the subject was Western. So it was very difficult for the Indians to get into the civil services. So this act wanted to have open competition and wanted to organize this exam in the India. But the board of directors, they they said they will not allow it. So question could be, who introduced the open competition? The answer is not 1833. It tried to introduce, but it was a failed attempt. So it is 1853, the Charter Act of 1853, the next Charter Act, that introduced the open system. So answer for the open competition is the 1853, not the 1833. Please remember this. This 1833 Charter Act, this constitute the first Indian Law Commission. Two times this question have been asked. The Indian Law Commission. First time it was under the 1833 and it was constituted in 34. The chairman was Macaulay. Very important. This is 1833. Next is the last of the company rule, the Charter Act. Charter Act of 1853. Now you will ask, sir, how you were able to remember the viceroy or the governor of this? Very simple. This 5 is L, this 3 is M. I just added I and E, the vowels. It became lime. And we already know we use lime in the house. We all use lime in the house. So the Governor General was Dalhousie. This is how you prepare. You will never forget. Believe me. Even if I ask you this after 1 month, you are going to remember this lime word. And the moment you remember this line, you will remember everything. This is called anchoring. You need an anchor to remember everything. If you do not have an anchor, you cannot remember anything. You need an anchor and try to build everything around this. For example, if I have to memorize everything about this Charter Act of 1833, 53, I need an anchor word. For me, this is lime. Now I can add any information around this word lime. And the moment in the exam I want to retrieve any information, I just need to remember this line. The moment I remember this line, all this information will come to my mind. This is the crux of memorizing or preparing for the competition exam, which people lacks. Even the teachers don't know this, because they are also not able to clear any exam. So the problem is this: the only person that can tell you is those who actually used it. So these are, I know these are the new things. You have never seen these things. I know. This is how the toppers are uh, preparing. So the Charter Act of 1853. This is the last Charter Act. This is the last Charter Act. This is very important because first time in the India, it separated the executive and the legislative function. You already know what is executive. Executives are those who implement the law. Legislatures are those who make the law. Who make the law. So first time it divided the function of the Governor General into the executive and the legislative. And first time this legislative council was created with 12 members. Please remember this: 12 members. And this legislative body was called as the mini parliament. And later on, this is the body which turned into the Constituent Assembly. The Constituent Assembly, December 1946. Can you see? I can tell you all the dates. How? It's not like I have memorized. I cannot memorize everything. Like, not like this. Numbers I cannot memorize. I don't even uh, except my phone number. I am not able to memorize any number. But I use these methods. And once I memorize like this, just forget it. Do one once in your life and just forget about these facts. You will remember for your lifetime. So, first time the executive and the legislative function was separated. And I already told you it. The previous act tried to introduce the open competition, but this act introduced the open competition for the civil services. And the first committee for this is known as the Macaulay Committee. This was also asked in the 1854. One more thing, then we are going to conclude our class. That is, a new member was added as fourth law minister, law member, and it got the voting right also. Just remember this. So your company rule ended here. In the next class, what we are going to do is the crown rule, and we will see all the acts. What are the important acts? What are the important features? So if you have any question, please write it. I am here to answer that question. Yes, I will be providing you notes. I'm also going to teach you the answer writing, the MCQ solved format, how to solve the MCQ, everything. See, it's my responsibility to teach you everything. Do not worry. This is what I'm doing for so many years. This is the, yes, any question. You will get detailed notes. Do not worry. Any question? Okay. So we are going to end the class here, and next class would be most probably on the app, and we will continue from this crown rule only.